in Logan's defense of this universally agreed to have failed project that cost his most ardent fans money, who like believed him, bought in, and did not sell. And they were harmed by that belief, is this asymmetry of what most people want in leadership. Most people think they want to be leaders because what they like is when other people in their organization work without them knowing, they get credit. And most of them want financial credit. Some people feel like they need the verbal credit, but other people don't. They all, in my experience, want the equity of the company or the big fat paycheck. And they're totally, myself included, content and feel deserving of that money. And they don't go, well, I didn't know what that guy was doing. I didn't know that he worked so hard to make that code. They go, no. Like, I'm the leader. I coordinated that. That's my responsibility, and I deserve the fruits of that labor. This project went south. And the response from Logan was, I hired somebody who hired those guys. I didn't even hire them directly. And that's what I get for trusting the guys that I trusted. And didn't apologize to anyone. Didn't say that's my fault. He said, that's what I get. Like, it was very much a victim mentality of how he was taken advantage of. And he didn't make money on this project. And he lost his investment that he had spent on it. And I thought that was fascinating because early in the CoffeeZilla video, there are leaked text messages of the day where this project went live, where the market capitalization of this project went to $120 million. First day, this is a project that he knows at this point is photoshopped images and is not very functional in a lot of ways. When it goes to 120, then down to 40, he is angrily on text message with his team. Something's fucked up. What's going on? Wasn't angry that it hit 120. Wasn't perturbed that it hit 120 million. Wasn't freaked out and said, holy shit, there must be a mistake. Was angry that it didn't stay there. And I think that is indicative of this asymmetry of like, look, when things are going well, I can close my eyes and take credit for fucking anything. Watch me. I can pretend that I had a lot to do with this $120 million day one venture or day one of launch venture. But when things go south, not me. Time to point the finger. So that was disappointing. Did you want to comment anything on that?
No. I thought the same thing, which was he shed responsibility when it related to him, and it was time for him to be the leader. And you created this company. Where does the buck stop? Does it stop with the guy you hired?
He's never heard that saying. It appeared the buck stops here. And I shouldn't pick on Logan because this is more interesting than Logan. But yeah, the buck stops here was like it was the opposite of that. It was literally I am a victim of this whole process.
Yes.
Was very strong, the energy. Let's talk about the shadow. So the shadow I saw, in my opinion, was very, very present in both the response that Logan made in his longer podcast. And I think the shadow, if you're not familiar, is a psychological concept that is essentially the unconscious mind. The idea behind it is that think of the thoughts in your head. Think of the things that you want. What motivates you? How are you feeling? If you can become aware of it, you are conscious of it. But there's more to you than what you are aware of. There's a part of you that makes your heart beat. There is a part of you that dreams for you, that you're not like, where did that come from? Where is the place from which thoughts pop into your head? Where do those come from? And there's also tons of motivations of which you are not socially acceptable or even personally acceptable for you to know about yourself, that get relegated to this shadow so that you could still live with them but not be made aware of them. And what I saw in Logan Paul's response was a tremendous amount of unintegrated shadow. And what I mean by that is that he seemed unwilling to recognize what seems very obvious from afar, is that he is very money motivated, like deeply money motivated. Move to Puerto Rico to save on taxes, level money motivated. Start a crypto project in peak cryptomania. Launch it when you know it's not ready. Money motivated. $120 million landed in my lap and I'm not disturbed by that. Money motivated. But when it doesn't work, how could I have known? And that level of, I'm not saying that he also wasn't interested in making things, or building things, but like, it seems pretty obvious if you look at how much money he has and the things that he has done, that he is not what you might call like a mission-inspired entrepreneur. A huge motivator for this guy is money. And I am not placing judgment on that. Where that gets dangerous is the level to which he is not acknowledging that. Because what happens is when you have a motivation, whether it's you want to have sex with beautiful people, you want to make, like, these are human things, by the way. You want to make a lot of money. You want to be high status. Very normal. Nothing wrong with that. And those do not have to be pursued in ways that cause collateral damage. I think there's a lot of ways to meet all of those needs in a fairly healthy manner. When you don't acknowledge that you have those needs, desires, and wants, and you insist that you are not like that, what often happens is that you will find ways that do damage other people, hide the fact that you're responsible for the damage that you do, so that you can maintain this image of yourself, as in Logan's case, not being deeply money motivated, and also pick projects that you think will make you the most money with the least amount of work, which is, I'm going to cast a judgment, pretty much what a lot of NFTs and crypto space is. Not all, the vast majority. And I think that's being exposed now and becoming higher awareness. Before I go on, is there anything that you want to say to that?
What's important to me is to ground this in where we're coming from, which was Logan's response felt reactionary and a lot of shadow, which was, I felt in receiving his message was very like puffed up chest, like moved right past like saying any sorries. What I felt from him was in the moments where he said, this really ruined me for a couple weeks, quickly moved past back to, how dare you? This guy hurt me. I'm back to the victim. If you want to challenge me. You don't even know that this, project is still going. And so that's where I'm trying to ground it, is like, you're feeling for me right now, like very, was the right word, esoteric. And I'm just trying to ground it in, we're getting this info from his response video, specifically of like the podcast.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you saying that. So it was there was there was anger in his thing. He's going to sue this guy. I will see you in court. There is the right word
Bravado.
is rage.
Rage.
And so there's terms for this that I'm not a clinical anything, but
an expert reacts.
feels appropriate. Narcissistic wounding and a narcissistic rage as a result of that. By the way, I think that the term narcissist is widely misunderstood. I think it should be applied far more often than it is. You can apply it to aspects of my own life and of a lot of other people. I don't say this to put him in a category of unsavable or salvageable, but to take this known, documented type of behavior and give it a name. And I think narcissistic wounding and narcissistic rage is a big one. So a narcissistic wound is when your image of yourself is fractured generally publicly.
Ooh.
And the pain that causes. And what typically kicks in to cover that pain is narcissistic rage.
I think one of his biggest, there's no room to refute this within his group, within himself, is that he is a creator who cares about his community.
Yes.
That feels like the number one thing where like no one can question that one. That is number one, I felt, which was like, we're not allowed to touch on that one.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up. So what I saw reflected, which I was blown away that he posted the things that he did, his out of touchness with how things would be responded to. And you would assume he took a week or more of the people around him, the complicity and the group agreement that he has set up around him seems to be reflective of his internal system of there's not a lot of room for second guessing. There's not a lot of room for, hey man, are you sure you're being a good person? Because I'm not detecting that in your behavior right now. He's got one friend, George, that God bless him on the podcast, played that role in a very loving way. He was not really received. It was pretty clear that it didn't make it through, and that was an obligatory It's kind of like when Fox News brings on a Democrat. It was like, yeah, we got one of those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was dismissed energetically very quickly. And I think probably because the deep fear that some of it might point to things that are true, which is that I have, not that I am a bad person, but that I have acted without my audience's best interests in mind, that I have behaved in a way that is selfish. That doesn't mean that I am purely this thing, but that I have that in my history.
And that I did it unconsciously to come back to the shadow, which is like, you didn't intentionally want to rip off your audience. You didn't have any malice, which is what you say in your response video.
Yeah.
But a byproduct of your shadow is that a lot of people are felt without their eggs working or active product.
There was only the one guy, George, was able, and there's only 3, so Logan and another guy, but like to go, do you understand how other people might feel? Like, let's just pretend they're all wrong.
Yeah.
Can you empathize? And I didn't see a lot of space for that. One, in the fact that he landed where he landed with his response showed very little, if any, empathy. And then the 20, 30-minute conversation they had about it on the podcast, I didn't see any empathy. It was...
I have no doubt in my mind he does not like himself right now, though.
Yes.
Which
and
is
so this
is
is...
weird. Go ahead.
So this is the thing with narcissists, and that I think that is misunderstood. And narcissistic
behavior
spectrum on which we all lie. It's not just a simple category of person. The more deep you get into these moments of your life where you are narcissistic, it's not that you don't care about other people. It's that empathizing with them creates so much pain that it is no longer an option. That you have behaved in a way, or for some other reason, that feeling somebody else's experience would be so painful to you that you just can't do it anymore. And that's where I see him.
Yeah.
Is like, bro, if I were to sit and think and give credence to the people that say I have hurt them, and really allow that to become felt and true for me, that would be too heartbreaking for me to stomach. And so it's not that people can go their whole lives without developing that empathetic capacity. It's not that it's not there, I don't think. I think that it's a very heavy lift at this point for him, especially, with all this stuff going around.